This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go.
And welcome back to the Clark Connection Podcast. It's great to be with you. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach, and I hope you are enjoying a wonderful 2025 so far. And I tell you, it's been quite busy here, which is one of the reasons I've been putting in new episodes and creating, developing. But man, I'm really looking forward to getting back and continuing to share with you through 2025. But before I get carried on and get going, I want to give a quick shout out to my sponsors. So let me share my screen with y'all real quick so you can see them up there. And so we've got the Bobbie with the Comfy Quest LLC. We also have Wayne with 7K Metals, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, and Joseph with Landscape King. A new one coming in. You saw him on here. I don't remember which episode that was off the top of my head, but you did get to see Joseph. Awesome guy. And look, guys, all of their contact information, it is listed below. So make sure they hit them up. Tell them Coach Clark sent you. And then also, if you're looking for that coaching or whatever for yourself, you're looking for a presenter, hit me up. You can reach me at all social media, coach_A_Clark, or via my website, www.coachaclark.com, and I will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. And so look, and all of that information, it's listed below. But man, just want to kind of give a quick recap. As you're moving into 2025, it's oftentimes a time that we sit back and we reflect on things that have been going on in our personal lives, things that we've been doing, things that we might have accomplished, maybe something that we left on the table, stuff along those natures. And so it's always just a good time to reflect and think back over that. And so we got started back in May. That was when we kicked off our first episode. And it's hard to believe that this is episode 28. So moving into 2025, episode 28. I had no idea that we would ever get here. But so many just things happened. We started the company. That'll let my kids convince me to start doing motivational or inspiring videos on TikTok. And man, that has gone to leading to a podcast, to helping lead training sessions, to speaking engagements, and you guys are just awesome. Other things that have happened for me, I lost one of my very first mentors, one of the people that I really looked up to, and my grandfather, Billy B. Clark, I should say. Billy B was a phenomenal man, and I think my cousin said it best. If you go and you look back at it, I think that was episode 13. But go listen to, kind of more of a legend than a real person that you would think. And so that was really a difficult time losing him during 2024. But we've gotten so much better throughout all this process that we've had, with Delta College. We're moving up. We're trending upward as far as those things are going, helping people grow there. And man, it's been a really good 2024, and leading into 2025, it's been good. Even had a little bit of a let off with some of the stuff at Delta, but man, it's really rolling forward. And man, who would have thought that we'd have had all this snow happening in South Louisiana? Wild, or really across the Gulf South. That was just wild. It was really cool to see just all that amount of snow everywhere around here. Really cool stuff, really cool times going on. And so It's also about this time that you really start seeing people that they start to go back on a lot of the things that they were doing previously. If I were to ask people, this is really about the time that you start going, oh man, he's asking about those New Year resolutions. Oh man, I'm not really not keeping up. This is usually about the time that right at the end of January, beginning of February, that people have completely gotten off of those. Do you ever wonder why that is? Ever wonder why? Why do people get off of their New Year resolutions right about now? Really, at the time of this recording, it's only been about 4 weeks so far. Why do we stray and give up that soon? And part of what I believe, and others, they've had other scientists and other people more intelligent than me go through and prove why we do that. And it's because we don't set ourselves up for success. And you may be thinking, what do you mean, Aaron? How do you... I set my goal. I said whatever it is. And so a lot of times we set things that are unrealistic. They're not real. It's something that I can't go accomplish that at this time. And so if we set a goal, like, for instance, that in 2024, one of my goals was to get under 220 pounds. I was about 250, that 256 really, that in July of 2023. And I said, by the time 2020 is over, or 2024 is over, I've got to be under 220 pounds. Now, that was just way too much weight. And was able to have done that. I was under 220, then was really floating around that 215 mark for a while. Back up to 220, they kind of got off the wagon. But I didn't go in and say, I've got to lose those 30 pounds right now. I set up a plan. And I think that's where we mess up, is we go out and set too unrealistic plans. So you might be saying, yeah, I've got to lose a bunch of weight. And so I got to lose. And we set all these crazy things out there. But I want to encourage you with the year of 2025 to make growth your goal, to make personal growth your goal. And that's where I really, really think that it's going to help all of us. And so, and again, because I know my goal this year, one of my goals this year, part of my growth goal is to lose 20 pounds. Now I want to go from 220 to 200. That'll be the first time in over 15 years that I've been under 200 pounds. But you have to have a plan. And it's kind of hard. And why a lot of us struggle with this is, for the huge majority of our life, growth was planned out for us. Think about it when you were a child. What did you do to have to grow? It was pretty simple. You ate, you slept, you went to school. That was it. And then you played. Those were the things you did. You did all of that without even really having to plan or care or think about it. That your teachers and your parents, they took care of that for you. But after we get out of high school, or our formal education ends, that's when we have to take control of our own personal growth or personal development. As adults, it's up to us to control what happens. That nobody's doing this planning for us anymore. And I know I've said it before, it's something silly like 50% of people after they graduate, and I think it's probably even lower than that. It's like 30% after high school never open a book to read. After college, it's less than 50%. So we're talking about anywhere from 30 to 40% of the population that never reads a book again. But that's not all that really comes into personal growth and development. I believe there are 7 different things that you can do. And I'm not going to go into great detail on this. If you really want to hear that, it's episode 5. Let me check. I'm pretty sure, yeah, episode 5. That is where you can go and find that. But it's reading, meditation, visualization, exercise, getting your affirmations in, listening to positive audio, and journaling. So, 7 things that if you aren't doing any of them, pick one, start. I believe positive audio is probably the easiest to get going because most of us spend 30 to 45 minutes in a vehicle every day. We also spend a lot of time with those goofy earbuds in. And so I think that's the easiest one to get started on. But you may want to do one of the other ones. And when you really start seeing actual personal growth, that you're doing at least 3 of the 7. But right now, if you're not doing any, you got to choose one. Now, that's part of when I say people set themselves up not for success. It's because they try to take on too much. That's why first-time gardeners fail. They have, I'm going to do all of these things, but we can't even get a cactus to live. Or at least I can't. I'm not very good don't have a green thumb. But we put too much at first. So, we got to scale it back and make sure we do stuff that's measurable. Now, the other thing that comes with personal growth is change. And you might be one of those people, oh my gosh, Aaron, it's change. Oh, I hate change. But do you really hate change? And I throw that out there because I hear people say that all the time. Oh, I hate change. So do you hate getting better? I mean, realistically, how many of y'all, everybody pretty much has a cell phone now. But now how many of y'all are still using this bad boy, the Nokia 8265? Yeah, for those of y'all watching, I still have it. I forgot I'd had it, kept it around for years, used it in many examples for when I was teaching school. But who's still using this bad boy? And there are times that I wish we still only had this bad boy. It was so much simpler. All it could do was call. And then when you texted, you had to hit like one of these numbers 17 different times just to send out a text. And this thing was indestructible. It's still around. I bet if I had the plug, it would still work. So for you young guys, you young kids listening, this sucker was the bomb. I loved it. Absolute best fun. It fell off of my truck driving down Belle Chase Highway and hit another vehicle and still worked. That's how good these are. But how many of y'all are still using this as your method of communication? If you're wanting to call and text people, nobody's using this anymore. Because it's not as good as one of these bad boys. Almost all of us have some sort of smartphone. This just happens to be the iPhone. I don't remember which one. I think it's the 15 Pro. But we've all upgraded because it's better. It works faster. I can actually take pictures. This thing's got cameras. This one didn't have a camera, but man, it did the job. It did what it was. And what people really dislike, I believe, with change, because I really hate to say that they hate change. I don't know anybody that's like, oh my gosh, I hate everything. Because if you really hated change, how many of y'all are still rolling around in a horse and buggy? Or are you in a new vehicle that has heating and air conditioning? Most of us are using a new vehicle. It's got windows. It's got AC. AC is essential for living in the South. Very essential for living in the South. But we're all using that. We're not using a Model T car. They were the great thing at the time. But being willing to update and change is the big thing. And I think what people dislike about the change so much is I now have to learn how to use this bad boy. I gotta relearn how to use this and make it work and function, and learn how its nuances. And I think that's what people mean when they say that they don't like change. It's because they have to learn something new. But guess what? It's all part of life. If we didn't like change, how many of you are still crawling around? How many of y'all are still using a diaper instead of using the bathroom? How many of you are doing smoke signals or carrier pigeons? Or are you using your new cell phone to communicate? You're probably watching this on a cell phone or a tablet. We didn't have those things growing up. I mean, and look, like, I'll never forget this. Like, I remember telling one of my teachers, my typing and my computer literacy teachers in high school, that I would never use that junk because that's not how business operated. We didn't operate on a computer. Now, you operated person to person with a handshake, and then you used this stuff. This is the stuff you used. They used pen and paper. That was how you communicate with people. They got my pen and my paper right here. I still love taking notes and what have you on pen and paper. But that's not how business operates anymore. Business operates in the cloud, on the websites. That's where we are I can't even talk. But that's where we're doing our business. That's where we're conducting that. Conducting, not condoing. I don't even know what condoing is. Whatever. But I remember telling them that. I remember telling them that I would never use it. But change is happening so much faster now than it was back in 99 and 2000. I mean, then this Nokia phone was high tech. I remember by the time I was in high school and college, by the time I graduated high school and into college, we had progressed to flip phones that actually had a camera. And man, let me tell you, they took some horrible pictures. But it was cool because you could snap a picture on your phone. And then progressed to the BlackBerry, and then to the point where we all have a miniature computer. Everybody I know has a miniature computer in their pocket. That in moving through, the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s, it just didn't progress as fast. Your change wasn't happening because we didn't have the knowledge. But now we do. Now that it's happening so fast that is the technology that's on this iPhone 15 Pro that is almost obsolete. And I got this over a year ago. Now they're out of 16 now. They're about to pull out of 17, and they're on iOS 18. And so it won't be long until this iPhone is obsolete, and it's only a year old. That's how fast we're moving today. And that's important for us as leaders to make sure that we're progressing with the time. And it's also so important because our followers are going to do what we do. And so if we're not working to get better, our team is not working to get better. And so kind of circling back, the plan to lose 20 pounds. That's one of my personal growth goals this year. And you really got to reverse engineer it, okay? And so when I say reverse engineering, so the goal is at the end. So December 31st, 2025, that I want to be at 200 pounds. I'm at 220 right now. But how do I get there? And so reverse engineering means I take it and then start working it backwards. So I want to lose 20 pounds by December. So how many pounds do I realistically need to lose per month? Well, I'm going to say 2, because if I lose 2 per month, that'll definitely get me under. That would actually have me at 196. But then from there, I got to take it a step further. Well, how am I going to do that every single month? Well, I have to have some weekly goals. My weekly goal is to go work out 2 to 3 times a week. That I've started working out at Hotworks in Central, and I absolutely love it. I highly recommend it if you're looking for somewhere to go work out. Hotworks is a phenomenal place to go work out. You get the heat. It's just really cool. They got a bunch of cool people in there, and you can do a whole bunch of everything. But the 3 things that I'm looking to do, I'm going to do at least 30 minutes every time I go. At least 30 minutes. One day I'll do cardio, so riding the bicycle, or the I'm not sure, the one that I think they call it the striker machine. And there it's called the blast machine, not blast, yeah, thunder blast, whatever. But I do like that one. They get you a little bit of good rotation, get some ab workout in there while you're doing it. But then they also have some isometric and stretching stuff for me to go in there to do. And so I can do yoga and Pilates and just regular stretching as part of the workout routine in there. And then they even have they have a calisthenic stuff that you can do, body weight stuff, push-ups, sit-ups, things along that line, as well as actual weight training. And you've got to incorporate all of this. Now, I'm not going to go in there going like buck wild and say, I'm going to do 2 hours worth of workout. I can't do 2 hours worth of workout right now. I'm not in that type of shape. But I can do 30. And I promise you, at the end of those 30 minutes, I'm going to be tired. But there's going to hit a point where I'm going to have to say, all right, I got to extend it to 45. I got to add another 15. Or I'm going to add some push-ups in with it every day, or some sit-ups in with it every day. Because as my body gets adjusted, it's time for me to continue to stretch and grow. It's like Lexington was saying that so that was in our previous episode, last one we did, 2024. That I want to make sure that I'm giving my stretch every single day. Other things that I want to add in here. I've got to do more water. Right now, I'm only drinking about 2 of these a day. So the Yeti cup, or in this case, Mossy Oak cup, that says Coach A. Clark on it, I'm drinking about 2 of those a day. Now, well, for this month, I'm upping that to 3. I got to do something. It's not something I'm used to doing, so I've got to get more hydrated. In return, it's going to help me lose more weight. Other things that I'm going to do with that is I'm going to consume less coffee, which is a big deal. I love me some coffee. And just in case you're wondering, that there's nothing added to it, that it's straight black coffee. Give it to me hot and straight. Don't want the rest of the stuff. That's the best way to drink coffee. But also that dehydrates you, and it's not that great for you. So instead of having like 6 cups a day, because I would do 3 cups at home and then I'd drink another 2 or 3 at work, I'm going to limit that. I'm going to have 2 in the morning and then 2 while I'm at work. So I went from 6 to 4. And eventually I want to cut it down to where I'm only having 2 at home, 1 at work. But it's got to progress. I can't just come out the gate and say, you know what, I'm doing 3 cups a day and that's it. My body won't be able to take it. But that's where we fail with our incoming goals, is we neglect to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. And why it's so important. It's got to be a manageable goal. It can't be, I'm going to lose 900 pounds. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I can't say I'm going to go work out like I did when I was playing college football. I'm going to start lifting weights like that. And I'm never going to pick up 300 pounds again within the next month. I could start working towards it. could do it 3 or 4 years from now, but I'm not going to do it today. And so you've got to be very realistic with those expectations, and we don't do that. Oftentimes, we don't do that. And so, in closing, make sure that I'm going to do this. There we go. So, in closing, the key takeaways that we got right here is, remember, change is inevitable. The reason that we don't succeed with our goals is due to lack of proper planning. And then make growth your goal. Change is going to happen, guys. And it's like I've said before, you're going to do one of 2 things every single day. You're going to get better or you're going to get worse. If you stay the same, you got worse. So make sure that you're constantly working on yourself just a little bit every day. Go back and listen to episode 5, where I talk about the 7 keys to personal development or personal growth. And if you're not doing anything right now, pick one. Pick one and get started. And be gentle with yourself as you do this. Too often we say stuff like, Aaron, you're a bum because you didn't go work out 3 times this week. You only got 1 time. Be gentle with yourself. And then celebrate yourself for actually going to do that one workout. And then go do another. And then another. And then another. And keep making very small steps. You know, somebody else that I was working with was telling me that I was actually one that she wanted to do. She said, man, I've got to lose about 50 pounds. I said, great, let's make it our goal to lose 2 or 3 a month. And guys, I'm not a weight coach. I used to do a lot of weight and strength coach, but I'm not a certified physical therapist or anything like that, personal trainer. And it was like, well, let's just start with something. And I said, what are you doing right now? And they said, nothing. I said, great. Let's start with walking for 5 minutes. I want you to set a timer, leave your house, or in this case, I said, just walk your yard. Set your timer for 5 minutes and just walk your yard. Boom. She walked around her yard. Then went back, sat down. I said, because that's probably all you need to do. I said, and on day 1, you're going to think, man, I could do more than that. And then on day 2, you're going to say, man, I could do more than that. And on day 3, you're going to be like, oh, I don't know if I can walk 5 minutes. Keep doing it. And she had told me a week or so ago, said, hey, I got back on the scale and I've lost 5 pounds. Over a month, lost 5 pounds. I'm like, hey, keep it up. That's all you got to do is keep it up. And so now she said, I'm adding in other things. Like I want to ride my bicycle. I'm starting to feel good. And maybe I can do other things. And you can do that too. You got to start small. So remember, be gracious with yourself. Start small. Okay? And so, remember. And so, guys, if you are looking for leadership, their personal growth training for you, it could be for your team, it could be at an event, whatever it is, reach out. I'd love to help you in this process. All of my contact information, it is listed below. I've also, for those that are you still watching, it is on the screen. You can reach me at any of those, my website or via social media. All of that contact information, it is listed below. And so remember, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep growing, and keep innovating. Now, until next time, stay inspired and connected, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_A_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobbie with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with CNJ Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.